everyone. I'm David Bruner. Welcome to this special Breeders' Cup recap edition of the Daily Racing Forum Thoroughbred Digest here on ESPN. Plenty of Breeders' Cup action and information to share with you. So let's get things started with the richest event of Breeders' Cup 10, the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic. The Classic named for its classic mile-and-a-quarter distance for 3-year-olds and up, competing for first-place prize money of $1.8 million. Here's the field of 14, starting with the trio from Bobby Frankel, Marquetry, Missionary Ridge, and Bertrando. That entry at 6-5. Azoud is 105 with Walter Swinburne. Pleasant Tango and Best Pal, the Hollywood Gold Cup winner at 9-5. The Haskell winner Kissin' Chris at 6 with Pat Day. The Canadian Triple Crown champ Peteski scratched due to a foot swelling. Walinda, the winner of the Super Derby at 32-1 with Herb McCauley. Devil is Due is at 20 with Mike Smith. The Belmont winner Colonial Affair at 15 with Jose Santos. From the Alan Paulson stable, there's Diazo at 22-1 with Lafitte Pincaille Jr. And from France, and a long shot at 133-1, Arkong with jockey Jerry Bailey. And then Miner's Mark from the 5th stable, winner of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. He's ridden by Chris McCarron and leaves the gate at 19. That's the field for this year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Tom Durkin made the call for NBC Sports.
And they're off. And Bertrando broke alertly, and he is going immediately after the lead. Marquetry is away second and toward the inside. It's Azoud. But it is Bertrando who establishes the lead at once. And he goes directly to the rail with the 2.5 length lead. And his mate Marquetry concedes the lead, second on the outside. Azoud up close third, and so is Best Pal. And he's moving through between horses fourth. And Diazo is a close fifth on the outside, first time under the line. Miner's Mark is 3 wide, running in 6th. The Belmont winner Colonial Affair is 7th toward the inside. Kissin' Chris is up close to the pace today, only 6 lengths from the lead. Then farther back, it's Arkong, and Devil is Due is alongside him. Then farther back, it's a break of 4 lengths to Pleasant Tango. Missionary Ridge is second to last, while his stablemates run 1-2. And at the back of the pack is late running Walinda. Solid fractions here, the opening half mile in 46 and 4/5 seconds. Bertrando leads the way down the backstretch with his stablemate Marquetry just off his flank. Diazo is up close and eager. He's third on the outside. Toward the rail, it's Azoud running in 4th. And the Californian, Best Pal, laid back in 5th position. Miner's Mark is 6th with a half mile to run. Arkang beginning to hit his best stride. Devil is Due is sent 4 wide as they move into the far turn. Colonial Affair is only 7 lengths from the lead. Then farther back, Pleasant Tango. Kissin' Chris has dropped back. Missionary Ridge. And Walinda is the trailer, 15 lengths from Bertrando, who blazes the way around the far turn. Marquetry is right there. Diazo taking his run for the lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Azoud is still in with the chance in behind horses. Best Pal is only 4 lengths from the lead. Pleasant Tango is coming hard. Kissin' Chris is also right there. Arkang is coming in between horses. And it's still Bertrando with an onslaught of challengers. Here comes Arkang, a huge upset looming here as Arkang comes flying on the outside. And he runs by Bertrando. Kissin' Chris. Here is Arkang to win it in an absolute shocker. He's 99-1.
Make that 133-1 for a first-place payoff of $269.20. The biggest upset in Breeders' Cup history. The winner, the French invader Arkong, who along with jockey Jerry Bailey, made his only start on dirt a shocker, upsetting America's best and doing it with authority. The 5-year-old son of Saga, out of the Irish River mare Albertine, is trained by Andre Fabre for Wildenstein Stable, the same owners who campaigned Steinlen to his victory in the 1989 Breeders' Cup Mile. For more on this French spoiler, let's join Chris Lincoln now at Santa Anita.
Dave, this 10th anniversary Breeders' Cup really did have something for everyone. The photo finishes in the first 3 races, the dominance by the Californians, winning 5 of the 7 Breeders' Cup races. And, of course, the shocker at the very end with a 133-1 horse from France coming to the wire to win the richest race in the world, the Breeders' Cup Classic. Arkong not only surprised you, he surprised his rider, Jerry Bailey.
I hadn't a clue how he had been running, how to ride him. The only thing Andre Fabre told me was don't override him in the beginning, and the rest is up to you. He didn't break particularly well, so I just tucked him in, and I was hoping for the best.
The young French trainer Andre Fabre showed great support for this Breeders' Cup program. He bought 14 horses from France, and Arkong was no surprise to him.
Not at all. I mean, I was very confident two months ago when I told Mr. Willenstein we're going to aim him for the Classic. Otherwise, I wouldn't have run him. It seems, you know, not a serious target, but in my mind it was.
Arkong's upset in the Classic at 133-1 upset a lot of people's hopes for the National Pick 7. In fact, only 2 tickets were cashed nationally on the bet. One here at Santa Anita, almost $1.6 million. The other at Remington Park in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, almost $1.5 million. The difference being the different tax takeouts for each state. Some other numbers at Santa Anita, more than 55,000 in attendance on track. Throughout the Southland at the off-track centers, the crowd reached almost 88,000. And the overall handle for Breeders' Cup 10, more than $36 million, an all-time North American record. Dave, we've got a lot more coming up from Santa Anita as we continue our review of Breeders' Cup 10.
We'll get right back to Chris and the rest of the races that made up the 10th anniversary edition of the Breeders' Cup following this commercial break. So stay with us here on the Digest. Welcome back to our review of Breeders' Cup 10 here on the Digest. Let's rejoin Chris Lincoln now at Santa Anita for the rest of the events that made up racing's championship day.
Dave, let's begin our review of the other Breeders' Cup races as the day started at 10:55 Pacific time with the running of the sprint. 6 furlongs, $1 million, a full field of 14. Mia Farah attempting to wire this field as we join Tom Durkin with the call of the Breeders' Cup sprint.
And the Fillies flaunts her speed. The opening quarter, 1 and 21 seconds as the field turns for home. Gilded Time takes a run at Mia Farah. Demalut Demishet hanging tough toward the inside. On the outside, 30 Slews is right there. Card Mania is closing, and Moon Blue, but it's still the Filly holding on. Mia Farah is still there. Gilded Time, Card Mania closing powerfully. It's going to be close. It's photo finish. Card Mania flying at the end to photo with Mia Farah. Gilded Time was third.
The leader, Mia Farah, fails to hold on as she did last year, losing to a closer again, piloted by Hall of Famer Eddie Delahousse. Last year, Eddie D, though, was on 30 Slews to win the 92 sprint. This year, he switched off that 6-year-old, who ended up 4th. He went for the Derek Meredith train, Card Mania. Now, some thought Eddie D was crazy for switching. Card Mania's victory in the October 17th ancient title at Santa Anita convinced him that the 7-year-old son of Cox's Ridge was the choice for him.
Card Mania won the ancient title, and he was very impressive in that race, and that leaned me toward riding him also in the Breeders' Cup. But Bobby Baffert's horse, 30 Slews, I had worked him, and I wasn't very pleased with his work. He was trying to get out and in the work, and so that made me even lean toward Card Mania more.
Now to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. That followed the sprint, and though its 9-5 favorite was New Yorker Dispute, the recent winner of the Beldame, the race became yet another face-off in a budding rivalry between Del Mar debutante winner Sardula and Herman Sirkowski's Phone Chatter, who beat Sardula by half a length in their last start, the October 9th Oakleaf at Santa Anita.
Sardula is strong on the lead. Stellar Cat still trying to get to her. Heavenly Prize and Phone Chatter's in gear on the outside, and here she comes as they move toward the top of the stretch. Sardula trying to fight off Stellar Cat. Phone Chatter looms large on the outside. Heavenly Prize is right there in behind the lead. Rhapsodic is kicking on as the field straightens away for the run into the final furlong. Sardula is fully extended to hold off the oncoming Phone Chatter. Phone Chatter and Sardula going to the 16th pole. Heavenly Prize is third. What a finish as they come to the line. Sardula and Phone Chatter stride for stride. And Phone Chatter prevails in a stiff drive to win it.
Sardula nearly pulls it off, but she and jockey Eddie Delahousse couldn't turn back the determined Phone Chatter, ridden by another Hall of Famer Lafitte Pincaid Jr. The Juvenile Fillies champion Phone Chatter came back with a slight crack of the cannonball as she should return to the races in 1994. For jockey Lafitte Pincaid Jr., a record 7th Breeders' Cup victory, and a record of his own for the trainer Dick Mandela. He won 4 stakes, 2 of them Breeders' Cup events, a feat never before accomplished by any Santa Anita trainer in history.
Yeah, it's one of those crazy days that you could never plan. It just happened. I had 4 horses that just came on and did good, and they had good enough form to do the job, and everything worked in one time.
Now to one of the most eagerly anticipated Breeders' Cup races of the day, as it seems to be almost every year. The Distaff, in from the east, the current queen of New York racing, the 3-year-old sensation Sky Beauty, winner of 4 Grade 1s in '93. She would go up against last year's champion Older Mare, the '92 Distaff winner Passiana, and another 3-year-old named Hollywood Wildcat, the 6-5 favorite.
Hollywood Wildcat on the outside. Super Gem digs down. And now Passiana poised and making her move for the lead. And Sky Beauty coming into contention on the outside. Dispute behind a wall of horses is fifth as the field turns for home. And Passiana has a short lead. But Hollywood Wildcat is right there with her. And those two headlong into the final furlong together. McCarran all over his champion there, Passiana. On the inside, Hollywood Wildcat is resolute. Hollywood Wildcat and Passiana striding to the line. Here's the finish, and it's Hollywood Wildcat.
The 3-year-old Hollywood Wildcat goes head-to-head with Passiana and beats the 6-year-old champion by a nose, providing yet another thrilling distaff finish in the Breeders' Cup Series. Distaff, the 5th victory in a row for this daughter of Chris S., who started off this incredible winning streak back in July with the Hollywood Oaks. The win was also the 2nd Breeders' Cup victory of the day for jockey Eddie De La Houssaye, and the 7th in his career, tying him with Lafitte Pincaille for the all-time winning mark in the Breeders' Cup Series. De La Houssaye managed to pull off this record-equaling event despite dropping his whip inside the final 16th.
It seemed like it didn't make any difference. As I twirled my stick, as we say, uncocked it, reached back and hit her. It just flew up in the air, and then I said, oh, Lord, now what? You know, so I went to hitting her with my hand. I went to screaming. I went to doing everything. And I'm just happy she got there first, because I think I'd have been really ridiculed badly if we'd have got beat a nose.
Hollywood Wildcats connections, including trainer Neil Drysdale, who won his 5th Breeders' Cup event in the series, feel that their filly is now deserving of the Eclipse Award as the champion 3-year-old filly of 1993. But Mike Smith, who finished 4th aboard Sky Beauty, the Eastern Star, doesn't see it that way.
Her record speaks for herself. This is her only time she was ever off the board. All the other races, she's either 1st or 2nd. Most of them all 1st. You look at the filly that win today, Hollywood Wildcat, Sky Beauty's record is just much better than hers.
We'll have more of our recap of the anniversary Breeders' Cup 10 from Santa Anita Park, including the $2 million turf. Right after Southern California, the site of Breeders' Cup 10 this past Saturday. As we continue our review, let's go to the first grass event, the mile, and the return of the Breeders' Cup defending champion, Lure. In many people's minds, he's one of the favorites, certainly for the Turf Championship this year, possibly even Horse of the Year as we pick up the Breeders' Cup mile. Lure in the Claiborne Yellow Silks was carried wide entering the first turn. Remember, he broke from an outside post position. He had a lot to overcome in his attempt to become just the 3rd horse to repeat as a Breeders' Cup champion.
Big Stone looking for a big run now, and he's threading his way through between horses. But Lure looking for a repeat win in the mile. The leader a length and a half with a furlong from the line. Ski Paradise is resurgent again. 4 Stars All-Star. Big Stone is flattened out, and they're coming down to the line. And it will be Lure once again, overcoming trouble on the first turn. And he goes on to a clear-cut and decisive repeat victory in the mile.
Lure once again dazzles them on the turf, winning by 2.5 lengths in the rapid-fire time of 1:33 2 for the mile. The victory, the first and only win of the day for Mike Smith, who had a legitimate contender in each of the 7 races, 3 of which were the favorites. But even though he made only 1 trip to the winner's circle, Smith still characterized the day as a success.
Oh, I thought I had a great day. You know, I come into the day with a lot of promise, looking like I could win about 3 or 4. But I pulled one off, and I'll take one any day.
Lure's trainer was Shug McGahee, who was much in the same boat as Mike Smith before Saturday. Shug was thought to have a good chance of winning the Juvenile Fillies, the Distaff, the Mile, and the Classic. Only Claiborne Farms Lure came through, but for Shug, that was enough.
Lure's a very, very, very good horse, and you know, he doesn't always win as spectacular as everybody maybe would want him to win by 6, 8, 10 lengths or something. He's just not that kind. He does what he has to do and goes from there. But his record on the grass is, I think it's unbelievable. He runs fast every time he runs, and you know, I just think he's a very, very, very good horse.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile was supposed to be the crowning event for the 2-year-old sensation from the East Coast named Daher, a colt who came to California with 5 wins in 6 starts, his most recent being a romp in the October 16th Champagne at Belmont. But Saturday would not be the day of Daher. Instead, a new star was born.
And now McCarran cuts the hair loose, and there he goes. making his bid for victory with 3 furlongs to run. But Ramblin' Guy is not done yet, and he's coming back. And those 3 as the cadence quickens, rounding the far turn. And Brocco is in with a good shot. He's right there, 4th on the outside. Tabasco Cat back running in 5th. Ferrara 6 toward the inside, and Bloomin' Affair. It's still winning pack, holding on to the lead. He fought off the challenge of De Hare, but faces a challenge from Brocco. And here comes Brocco to take the lead at the 8th hole. Winning pack the leg where he's 2nd. Bloomin' Affair is 3rd, and De Hare has been defeated. There's a new kid on the block, and his name is Brocco, and he is sensational in victory.
De Hare comes home 8th in the Juvenile to a lightly raced son of Chris S. That stallion's 2nd Breeders' Cup winner of the day, named Brocco, for his owner Albert Broccoli, the movie producer known for the James Bond films. Before the Juvenile, Brocco had only made 2 career starts, winning his most recent by 8.5 lengths. That was enough to convince trainer Randy Winnick that this colt was ready for the big time.
I was, very cautious with a lightly run horse about, getting too high on him before the race against a horse with that reputation as good as he is, which he still is a very good horse. Came a long way after a hard campaign, but you got to give this horse a lot of credit himself. He's come around very quickly and showed a lot of maturity for a lightly raced colt to handle a big day like this with the crowd and everything in the first 2-turn race at the mile and 16th and against a good field. And I was very proud and very happy with him. But I had a lot of confidence in him all along.
A murky Horse of the Year picture made the Breeders' Cup turf especially interesting this year. For if its favorite Coteshan won, he would be one of the top, if not the top contender, with 5 Grade 1 wins in 1993. But stars like BNBN, last year's turf winner Phrase, Europeans Apple Tree, Opera House, and Hernando would do their best to keep that from happening.
And Louisor threatening to go wire to wire, but Coteshan is uncoiling on the outside. BNBN is moving with him, and here comes the English champ Opera House as the field turns for home. Coteshan catapulting past horses on the outside, and BNBN, those 2 shoulder to shoulder now as they come to the final furlong. Louisor toward the inside, Opera House is done, and it is BNBN running a brave race today. Coteshan lengthening his stride, and Coteshan is the victor!
Coteshan catches BNBN to win the $2 million turf. It was announced after the race he had been sold to Japanese interest and will run the final race of his career November 28th in Tokyo at the Japan Cup. But has Coteshan done enough to be named America's Horse of the Year? His jockey Kent DeSomo, who won his first Breeders' Cup race ever on Coteshan, thinks he has.
The horse has done everything. The only time he's ever been beat is when I got in the way. I drug him off a galloping pace, and he exploded. But there was one horse who was capable of kicking it on even a little bit, and I couldn't catch him. That's the only time he's ever been beat. $2 million turf race, every major stake race this year. The only ones he missed was when they gave him time to campaign today. If there's any doubt in your mind, let's watch him in Japan and see if he beats Star of Cozine.
You commit to be a lot more strong campaigning for those year-end Eclipse Awards in the final weeks of 1993. So final thoughts now on Breeders' Cup 10. Ted Bassett, the head of the Breeders' Cup, said it was all thrills and no spills in 1993. But Cliff Goodrich, the general manager at Santa Anita, might have put the best postscript on this 10th anniversary. He thinks with all the successes, this may have in fact been a turning point for the entire thoroughbred industry. From Santa Anita, this is Chris Lincoln. Let's go back now to Dave Bruner in the studio.
Thanks, Chris. Certainly one of the best Breeders' Cups I can remember. We're going to take a break here now, but when we come back, Dave Johnson will talk to the man lucky enough to be aboard Brocco in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Gary Stevens. Maybe he can tell us if this colt really is Kentucky Derby material, and should he be the 2-year-old champion? One of the most exciting developments to come out of this year's Breeders' Cup was the emergence of a new 2-year-old star, the juvenile winner Brocco. As you saw, the colt easily defeated his rivals in the $1 million race, including the superstar De Hare. A man who helped make it happen is Dave Johnson's guest on Horse Talk.
Talking horses with a guy who'll have a smile on his face through the first Saturday in May. Gary Stevens, tell us about Brocco.
Well, he's some kind of colt. He's been special since the word go, just done everything that's been asked of him. He acts like a 3-year-old on the racetrack. He showed a lot of maturity today. He went to the gate a little better than he has in the past. Got a beautiful stride, good speed. He puts you where you need to be early on in the race, and then just has a great finish.
Brocco looks like he's going to be the 2-year-old champ.
Well, I hope so. There was some talk earlier still about De Hare, but
you know, we'll let the voters decide that. He's a nice colt also, but I think this colt proved that he's really something special today, and I think he deserves the championship off of this win.
Tell us about the first time you got on him in the first of his 3 career races.
Well, actually, there's even a story before that I saw this colt at the horse sale when Randy Winnick bought him, and I walked up to him right then, and I said, I want to ride this colt in the Breeders' Cup. I want to call on him right now. And he kind of chuckled at me. He said, our goal's the Kentucky Derby next year. And he's just really come along. He surprised us his first out. He was a little slow coming around, and we really didn't anticipate him winning his first race. We thought he was a genuine route horse, and he surprised us, and he won sprinting, and he's just moved forward every direction.
Gary, I know you've had a lot going through your mind today, but let me take you back to Idaho, and here you are with the favorite for next year's Kentucky Derby. What a winter you're going to have.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. You know, you start looking very early on in a horse's 2-year-old season to see if they're the right kind of colt to be able to run in the Derby, and fortunately I found one that I think is the right kind of horse for the Derby, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed. It's a long time until May. He's going to get the rest of the winter off, and we'll start back with him in the spring, but keep our fingers crossed that he stays sound and just keeps moving forward.
It's a heck of a team, Brocco and Stevens. Gary Stevens, the rider of Brocco, the 2-year-old who goes to the Kentucky Derby as the favorite. Talking horses with Gary Stevens.
One sad note to report from Saturday, Hall of Fame trainer Mesh Tenney, the conditioner of the legendary Swaps, who won the Kentucky Derby in 1955, died at his daughter's home in Utah at the age of 85. Tenney was known as one of the sport's most dedicated horsemen. The Cowboy Race King was the nation's top money-earning trainer in 1962 and in 63, and was finally inducted into racing's Hall of Fame in 1991. That's all the time we have on this edition of the Digest, but before we go, here are the times for next week. Our prime play the same time Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, with replays 11 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, and then on Friday it's 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll have all the upcoming weekend stakes action, plus a special conversation with recovering jockey Julie Crone. We hope you'll join us then for the Digest. So until then, so long, everyone.